Hello classic students. Today once again we are going to revise the poem Robinson Crusoe story. We have done it in first unit. Um, we have written the question and answers. Again we have revised the whole poem in our before means in online class, and also we have done question and answers. So once again a quick revision through the means this of the same poem through the videos. Robinson Crusoe's story, as the very title suggests, that this is a story about Crusoe. And Robinson Crusoe, everybody knows about Robinson Crusoe, that how he was alone in an island, and how he tried to make a living all by himself, and this the poet got the inspiration from the actual novel Robinson Crusoe, written by Daniel Defoe. Now, but what we find is that in this poem, the poet has used a lot of humor to make it very interesting, and not only interesting, to make it very enjoyable to read for the students. But through his humor, he has also shown us that how hard Crusoe's life was in that island. But he has also given us, or rather shown us, that how even in even living in very difficult, living under a lot of difficulty, Crusoe tries to make things or rather how Crusoe accepts everything, and tries his best to adjust to things, okay, and gives us an impression that as though he is very just as anybody else is living, he is also living in the same way. Now let us read the poem Robinson Crusoe's story. Now this is a pretty long poem, but as we know that though it's long, it is an easy one, because there is not a lot of inner meaning or intended meaning in it. Robinson Crusoe's story. The night was thick and hazy when the Piccadilly Daisy carried down the crew and the captain in the sea, and I think the water drowned them, for they never found them, and I know they didn't come ashore with me. Oh, 'tis was very sad and lonely when I found myself the only population on this cultivated shore. But I have a little tavern in a rocky little cavern, and I sit and watch for people at the door. I spend no time in looking for a girl to do my cooking, as I am quite clever at making stews. But I had that fellow Friday just to keep the tavern tidy, and to put Sunday polish on my shoes. I have a little garden that I am cultivating lard in, as the things I eat are rather tough and dry, for I live on toasted lizard, prickly pears, and parrot gizzards, and I am really very fond of beetle pie. The clothes that I had were furry, and it made me fret and worry when I found the moths were eating off the hair. and I had to scrape them and sand them, and I boiled them and I tanned them till I got the fine Morocco suit I wear. I sometimes seek diversion in a family excursion with a few domestic animals you see, and we take along a carrot as refreshment for the parrot and a can of jungleberry tea. Then we gather as we travel bits of moss and dirty gravel, and we chip off little specimens of stone, and we carry home as prizes funny bugs of handy sizes, just to give the day a scientific tone. If the roads are wet and muddy, we remain at home and study, for the goat is clever at a sum, and the dog, instead of fighting, studies ornamental writing, while the cat is taking lessons on the drum. We retire at 11 and we rise again at 7, and I wish to call attention as I close to the fact that all the scholars are correct about the callers and particular in turning out their toes. So, what we find is that the very first line talks about the kind of weather under which Robinson Crusoe was traveling on his ship, whose name was Piccadilly Daisy. So what does he say? The night was thick and hazy. So thick means thick with fog and mist in that way, and generally mist. So it was thick and hazy, that is, things were not clear. So when things are not clear, especially at sea, then there are every chances of meeting with an accident, and that's exactly what happened. When the Piccadilly Daisy carried down the crew and the captain in the sea, so we all went into, we all boarded the ship and we were all going down the sea. And I think the water drowned them. I think the water drowned them means they were all drowned. For they never found them, and I know they didn't come ashore with me. So he is saying that I know that the people who were there with me, the other crew and the passengers, none of them were alive, because they never came ashore with me. Okay, that is I was the only one who was lucky enough to survive. Oh, it was sad and lonely. Yes, being alone is very sad and lonely. When I found myself the only population in the cultivated shore. Cultivated is again, humorously written. That is, it was a fully barren island, and everything was very wild kind of thing. And only population means only living person in that show. And I made a little tavern, okay, in a rocky little cavern. So what does he say? That the cave in which he lived, he thought that he was that cave was kind of an inn for him, and I sit and watch for people at the door. So he imagined that his cave was an inn, and just as an innkeeper would wait for his customers, he would sit there and he would imagine that people would he would consider himself as the innkeeper, and just as an innkeeper stands at the door to welcome customers, in the same way he would sit outside his cave and look for people, though he knew that there was nobody in that island. It was just kind of trying to entertain himself. And what he say, I spend no time in looking for a girl to do my cooking, so I don't need a wife. I'm quite clever I'm quite a clever hand at making stews. Quite a clever hand means here he is a good cook. Okay, and clever hand maybe in the sense that he's good, to be good at something. So he's saying that I'm quite good at cooking, so I don't need a wife to do my cooking. The humor lies in the fact that there is nobody in this island, so even if he wants, he won't get anybody else. So who was the other person? That was a Friday, another fellow Friday. And he, what did he do? Just to keep the tavern tidy, that he used to clean his cave and put a Sunday polish on my shoes. I polish his shoes on Sundays. We stop here today. We'll do the rest of it in the next class. Thank you.